Well, good evening. It's Longhaultanker, straight razor shaving with Longhaultanker. And as you might be able to tell from my surroundings, it's been a long time since we've been in here. But this is the driver's lounge, men's room, driver's lounge at the terminal yard in Houston, Texas. I got in today at about 6:30 p.m. By the way, 2115 is 9:15, so it's late or getting late. And I'm tired. I just got back from dinner and gotta shave. And I'll tell you the details as we get moving along here. So I'm being flipped out on another load. Got in late today, going out tomorrow morning. Going back to Portage, Wisconsin, be number 22 in a row. So I don't get a chance to go home tonight. Don't get a chance to reset my hours. I've got 22 and a half hours left on my drive clock, but I start gaining hours at midnight Sunday night. 22 and a half hours if all goes well. Should have no problem getting back to Portage, Wisconsin. It's not the first time that I've been flipped out on an immediate turnaround on a Portage, Wisconsin load. So I've done it before. I know how to run it. There was a new wrinkle in it, but I'm not going to bore you with the details. And so, and I'm going to need to start picking up those hours when I get up there on Sunday night at midnight in order to get back home by Wednesday. And frankly, anytime Wednesday, whether it's, I like getting in on the morning, but I don't think I'm going to have enough hours to get back here as quickly as I ordinarily would. But sometime mid to late afternoon, Wednesday, back here. And then I go home and then out again on Friday morning next week. So 7 a week from now. So I haven't had a chance to get home and change out my razors and blah, blah, blah. So I had a choice, I'll show you. But we're going to use the Whacker Old Sheffield that I used in the last video. I've got 2.5 days of whiskers on my face. My last shave was on Tuesday morning in Herculeum. And so that's the shaver that we're going to use today. My backup was my Thiers Assard 5/8 shoulderless, and I'll probably use this Sunday morning in Herculeum. And then the head shaver, as we get down the road here a little bit, will be the Colonel Conk, Ichabod Kronk, Dovo. Trying to get there. That's about as good as it's going to get right there. So those are the razors I have with me. The soap that we're going to use is Sterling Soap Company Oro Valley. Delightful scent. I very much like this scent. What else? Oh, the brush. Oh, here's a oddity. I've got hot water at the sink. And so we're using the QED Select Silver Tip Manchurian Badger. And I just love these brushes. They're just wonderful. All right, so let's put some water and heat on my face. I got plenty of whiskers, as you might be able to see. Now, I noticed as I was sticking my face up to the camera that that's my bad side because it's got my goober, what I call my goober bout. And I haven't talked about it much lately. But about 5 or 6 years ago, a bump, a pimple, whatever, came up on the side of my face, and shaving, there it went, gone. And it just looked terrible, bled, and I haven't been doing videos. I was not doing videos back then. And that was about 5 or 6 years ago. And if you've been with me for a while, you may have seen me talk about it before. And it was a little bit like an open wound. It would bleed, it would ooze, it would just look ugly, ugly, ugly. And people were telling me, you need to go to the doctor, you need to go to a dermatologist, you need to go get that checked for cancer, blah, 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 blah. Well, it didn't hurt other than to put my finger right on it and press, but I'm not a masochist, so it didn't hurt, it didn't bother me. And it's not like I got real perfect skin anyway. Other forms of blemishes and inconsistent coloration on my skin. And people are saying, get a check for cancer. Even my doctor said, go get a check for cancer. Well, just because he says it doesn't make it true. And I'm not one of those guys that refrains from going to doctors because I'm afraid to go, or if I got something that hurts, if I've got something, of course, you all remember earlier this year, I had a 30 millimeter polyp removed from my colon. And I made a big demonstration about getting a colonoscopy and everybody ought to go. And I hope you take that seriously, because I do. And I've always had my colonoscopies on time. But nonetheless, when my doctor says go get a colonoscopy because it's time every 4 or 5 years, whatever the cycle is, that makes sense. That's something I can do easily enough. Insurance covers it, blah, blah, blah. It's a what you might call a necessity, that taking time off from work, it justifies taking time off from work. And let me tell you, that's no small thing to make a doctor's appointment. You got to schedule the appointment out. You've got to take your time. Get to one day's doctor's appointment. I could be off of work conceivably 2 weeks. Half a month I got to give up to go to one doctor's appointment for one day. And that's half my monthly. I can't do that. Who's going to pay my mortgage? Maybe Governor Newsom will. Not in Texas, I don't think. Besides that, I don't really want to. I pay my own bills. Given opportunity to work, I pay my own bills. Nonetheless. And it was taking, my little goober over here was taking forever to heal. And I'd put a little cream on it and some sort of drying agent and trying to spur on the healing. And in time it started. It took a while though. I will tell you, it took a while. And today, other than the little bit of crater that's on the side of my face, which is also healing, is filling in slowly. And so all these years, it's been healing slowly. I've not felt the necessity to go to the doctor, check for skin cancer, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not dead yet, and there's been no ill, and I'm not trying to poo-poo the idea, but I have not had anybody give me a solid, justifiable reason. I can understand why hypertension, high blood pressure, silent killer, colonoscopy, colon cancer, silent killer. If you feel a pain in your gut from colon cancer, you're dead already. you're dead already. So going every 2, 3, 4 years, whatever the cycle is, check with your doctor, is certainly warranted when the doctor says go. Yeah, it's time to go, you better go. Yep, I will. All right, what am I doing? So the Sheffield over here was honed up, refreshed here just last time I was home, last Wednesday or Thursday, on my Codical A. I got a Codical A, I got a Codical B, I've got my travel Codical, and I've got a Codical M. I'm a little winded because I've recently, just within the last hour, have eaten, and climbing the stairs to get to the driver's lounge was a vertical climb. So I may be huffing and puffing a little bit. Hey, I'm 65 years old. Leave me alone. So I'm on a turnaround load back to Portage, Wisconsin. I got 22 and a half hours left on my drive clock. And if you know anything about the DOT hours of service regulations for interstate drivers, I'm working on the working off of the 70 hours and 8-day rule. And so that means if I stay on the road continuously through those 8 days, I start picking up hours at the midnight of the morning, at the end of the 8th day, so which will be Sunday. I left on Sundays, and so Sunday will be day number 8 at midnight on Sunday night. That is to say, between Monday morning and Sunday night, I'll start picking up hours. Lighting is not very good, especially as I start moving over to my left. It gets a little darker, a little more shadow. So I have, and I knew this turnaround on this load was coming, so I brought a double amount of food with me from my refrigerator. But being here, it didn't make any sense to use food out of my refrigerator when I have access to my personal vehicle and can leave the yard and go to I went to Burger King tonight and had dinner. I said to my wife, "Are you okay with me doing?" She said, "Yeah, that's fine. She said, save my food for when you're actually on the road." And I normally don't like to eat fast food, but every once in a while you just gotta have a burger. I would much rather have brisket and baked beans that I've got in my truck's refrigerator right now. Or some of my wife's spaghetti, or pork and rice. Ooh, that was so good last night. The pork was so tender. I said, "Honey, how did you do that? Get that pork so tender?" And she said, "I could tell you, but then I got to kill you." Well, let's not do that. Yeah, because she said, "I want to keep you around for a while." Well, I know there's whiskers on my face because I can hear them getting cut and feel them on my razor, but I can't see them with this lighting. Well, I hope everybody's doing okay. And a little shout out to my usual fellows, Bill M. and Martin Shave Tests, and Dapper Shaves, Jock in South Africa, and Sean Staplefeld in Puerto Rico, and Eric over in Louisiana, the Cajun Blade. And let me tell you, I know maybe a lot of you have never been to Louisiana, but it is an experience, and it's well worth going on vacation to some of the more Cajun areas, which is to say southern Louisiana more so than, say, northern Louisiana. Just my opinion. You want to see the swamps and the bayous and snakes and alligators. Poisonous snakes, be careful. I bet you Eric's got some stories about copperheads and cottonmouths, maybe even some coral snakes, who knows? But I bet those would be Regale us, my friend, regale us with a story about a snake. Poisonous, yes, of course. Now, the back of our house sits up against a kind of a green belt. It's a great long, many miles of wooded land and wetland, and it slopes down to Spring Creek. And there are plenty of, I'm sure, cottonmouths in there. But certainly copperheads, because you may recall a couple of years ago, or at least I told the story, I'm sure I did, that my wife was in the backyard and at the time we had 2 Chihuahuas, and one of them was just yapping her head off. And my wife's attention was turned elsewhere until she heard the dog yelp, like a little squeaky Chihuahua will do. And as she turned to look, she saw a snake attached to the side of our little Chihuahua's face. Well, my wife is not what she's a sweet, wonderful woman, love her with all of my heart, but she's not what you call a girly girl. And her first reaction was to run for the garden hoe and to chop the thing up into pieces, which she did successfully. Now, I wasn't home, but she told me about it, and I think the incident occurred early, mid-afternoon, and by the next morning, the Chihuahua was dead. Now, ask me why we didn't take the dog to the vet for snake bite treatment. Because it cost $10,000, and I wasn't going to pay it. No, seriously, I don't know how much it costs, but it wasn't coming out of my pocket. I buy a new dog first. I love animals. I will keep and care for an animal. I will pet it. I will love it. I used to say the next line would be, pet it, love it, eat it. And when the time comes to lay it down, put it down, I'll give it a 0.22 solution. Now, we make way too much fuss over animals. Animals are not people. And I know there's some of you that watch me that always get after me when I get to talking like that, but I love brisket. And I love pulled pork. Oh, and I love bacon. Come on now, bacon. Now that's how you get the right amount of water on your brush. Just dip it in your sink and let it go. And let it fly. And Eric Cajun Blade, and then Greg Gallant. Enjoyable watching him. Now the good news is I don't have to get this. We got a preload as an exception to the new rule, with no more preload drivers going to get our loads for us. They made an exception for this one because they understood, because of the holiday, that the schedule was disrupted, and trying to get back onto schedule, they've made the allowance for a preload driver. And so that's good. But I get to sleep in a little bit in the morning. It's not like I got to rush right out at 6:30 to get over to get loaded. And I saw the name of the driver today for the first time that's going to go get it. And he's one of our very good drivers. I know who he is. He's a fine fella, responsible. I don't expect there to be any problem with my load once it gets back to the yard, or on the way to get loaded, I should say. So, who knows? Well, I'm going to say this. I don't know that he would mind me saying just a little bit, but Eric told me that he's gotten himself a Zulu Gray stone, and I'm very excited to see what he's going to do with it. Watch his shave, a recorded shave, and so I'm very hopeful, very excited to see his handling of a Zulu Gray stone from South Africa. So, having set the stage, Eric, I look forward to seeing those series of videos on the honing and on the shave with that stone. It is a fabulous stone. You know, we have our base stones, we have our recommendations. I've often said that my personal base or foundation of all that I do is the Shapton Glass series. And then I've got the conical, and I've got the Arkansas stones that I love so much. And, two or three conicals, 1, 2, 3 Arkansas stones, 8x3s. Ouch. Oops. And some might regard the Zulu as a bit of an exotic stone. Maybe, I don't know. But what I can say, and one of the things I do appreciate, not only is it a good stone, even a great stone, it's available, it's obtainable. I was looking. So, have whatever stones you want to have fun with them. If they produce a good edge for you. I did get myself, but where exactly? Oh, right there. And I would certainly, as you collect and begin to collect stones, I would start with the tried and true stones like the Arkansas, then the conical, or vice versa if you so desire. And then if you with time, interest, and money, branch out to other stones like the Zulu Gray or Tam O'Shanter, I don't know what that is. Water of air or air of water, whatever it is. I don't know exactly. I saw Martin. I think Martin was shaving with a razor that had been recently honed on such a stone. I don't know what it is. I've heard of Welsh slate before. I don't know what it is, but I've heard of it. And I don't even know. I don't know where you get those kinds of stones. Now, I did see a Griffith shaving supply just last night. He must have recently started carrying some of those, can I call them European stones? I don't know. And then I saw Eric has a video with Canadian Navacolite. Now I've heard of this, and I've heard of this guy that sells them up there, but I don't know anything about them. How do they compare to Arkansas Navacolite? Don't know. And I doubt that I'll ever find out, because I'm very happy with my own stones. And I have enough of a variety that they keep me on my toes. And unless you just take really good records, make good records, keeping a notebook, however you do it. I don't do that. That's why I get confused sometimes, unless I just recently refreshed it. I can pretty well tell by the feel of the edge on my face based upon the stones that I have, what stone the razor was last honed up on, finished on, by the way it feels. Some things are just unobtainium. Escher. I'd like to have an Escher. I went to eBay last night. There's a 7 by 2.5 Escher, and it's the lighter green color. It's not the darker blue color. And it's more than a half inch, not quite a full inch, so, 3/4 of an inch, whatever. $1,350. Now, it looked in real good condition, the box and all the labels and everything. I'm not paying $1,300 for a stone. Are you out of your loving mind? I don't often get that much money to spend at one time, but I have, and I have bought nice things with them, like a certain shaving brush I've got. But I don't see you spending $1,350 for an Escher. Oops, I dropped it. Oh, and I can't buy another one. If I drop one of my Arkansas and it shatters to pieces, at least I can go buy another one for a reasonable amount of money. Now here lately, I'd say for the last couple of months, I've been carrying 3 razors with me on the road when I go on these Portage, Wisconsin loads, in particular because I've had so many in a row. And I'm using a certain black leather zip case. Which Bill M gave me, and I very much appreciate it. It works very handy for what I'm using it for. It's a razor, straight razor zip case is what it is. I got to where I don't feel comfortable carrying $2,500 worth of razors in a 7-day roll-up in the truck, and something happens and they're gone. They get stolen, they get lost, they get thrown from the truck out into a cesspool ditch, who knows. Such things do happen. Even the 3 razors that I have, if you go look on Amazon, there's a vendor that still sells these, and they're selling for about $500, $550. These Wacker Old Sheffields. That's a lot of money. I didn't pay nearly that much for this one from the vendor that I bought it from years ago. It just feels great. So smooth, soft, comfortable. It feels like a conical edge. Now, this is certainly a good hobby, and I just love it. It's something, rubbing the steel on stone, honing is a wonderful relaxation. But I must say that I don't eat, sleep, and drink straight razor shaving all the time. I have other interests. And I'll tell you, my number one interest, most of the time, even when I'm on the road or I'm at home, either one, it don't matter, is getting my rest. I'm tired. when you're driving between 500 and 650 miles a day, it gets wearing, tiresome. Now, I happen to be blessed with that ability. Not everybody has it. Everybody's different. I can get behind the wheel of the truck and I can drive. I can stay focused. I can drive. I've got my programs that I'm playing on my iPad, and I can stay awake. But as soon as I stop for the day, there have been occasions, many occasions, where I'm just going to rest my eyes for a minute. And I'm sitting in the driver's seat and I close my eyes to rest just for a little bit. And I've been out for an hour and a half. One of the things the DOT physical doctors ask all the time, they give you this sleep apnea questionnaire to fill out. You find yourself falling asleep watching television at home when you're home? I said, yes, all the time. And a whole bunch of silly questions. And I turned it in, and the doctor comes to me and he says, here, I brought you another one. You may want to be not so honest. Oh, the DOT is always looking for a reason to disqualify a driver. But I've never fallen asleep behind the wheel. I don't get drowsy behind the wheel. When I'm driving, that is, of course. But I also keep my mind engaged while I'm driving too. I'm thinking, not just thinking, but the programs. I don't listen to music very often when I'm driving. What I'm listening to is politics. Or sometimes vintage old-time radio. I love the old detective shows, Sam Spade, Philip Marlowe. And Johnny Dollar, love Johnny Dollar. I don't understand why his programs never took off as a television program. Johnny Dollar, they're great radio. And if you've never listened to one, just go over to YouTube and type in Johnny Dollar and listen to. They come in two formats: a 30-minute program or the 5-part hour-and-a-half program. And they're great. I can sit there all day and listen to those detective programs. And not just that, there's the old Westerns, Have Gun Will Travel, Gunsmoke, with William Conrad as Marshal Matt Dillon. And the police programs, Broadway is My Beat, Dragnet. I listen to these things on old time radio on Sirius XM, and they're great. I'm listening to them, my mind's engaged, and it's a nice change of pace from all the political stuff that I listen to. I don't know if you noticed those strokes that I was doing underneath my neck and chin, but I was pushing through from right to left, sometimes left to right. Well, I'm starting to run out of steam. I'm tired. It's late in the evening. I do get to sleep in a little bit in the morning. I'll probably get up about 8:30. I'm going to run some fresh hot water here. I'm so used to not having hot water that I forget to avail myself of the hot water when available, even when I'm home. All right, I can't even see. I can see a little bit better on that side. Not as many shadows from the dark side. All right, I think that's it for the face shave. This feels great. I'm going to do a head shave, and I'm tired and I need to be careful. Or we will have a bloody Thursday. All right, we'll set this aside. Got my little Thiers-Assard leather sheath that I use for transporting back and forth between the truck. And I got good signal on the yard here, so I'll get this thing formatted and it won't take long. I'm just going to throw it together and get it up into YouTube. I'm not going to put any fanfare in it as far as, I don't think I am anyway. Yeah, I got a little nick up there, but it's also a carryover from last time. So I don't think I opened it up any worse than last time, but there will be blood. Once I finally got down to some good steel on this Dovo Colonel Conch, Ichabod Conch, it's a pretty good little shaver. I don't know if I'll ever use it on my face again, but for a head shaver, oh yeah, this is nothing wrong with it at all. And I'll probably, a time will come when I will hone it up good and sharp. I say hone it up, give it a refresh on something and try it on the face and say, huh, yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, oh, one more thing. All right, that was the Dovo Colonel Conch, Ichabod Conch. And just you couldn't ask for smoother. And so, like I say, good enough is good enough. We use the Oro Valley Sterling Soap Company. Set that aside. We got the Ozma alum block. We use the QED Select Premium Silver Tip Manchurian Badger. And that's it. Thank you for staying with me. We went a little long here, and so what? I'll see you down the road.